Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Dave Candido.
And we're coming at you with Any Which Way You Can, 1980. The Clint Eastwood movie, back again with the orangutan. And I kid you not, I always get this movie's like title confused. It's one of those ones, both movies have like, I literally fuse them all together. I always want to say Any Which Way But Loose, but it's Every Which Way But Loose. And then Any Which Way You Can. You know, it's like every single time I always have to feel like I have to look these ones up. They're like those for movies that are not like super complicated. They're definitely got like the most complicated titles.
I'm not gonna lie.
Especially the sequel.
I'm not gonna lie. I guess I did the same exact thing because I'm sitting here a minute ago thinking Any Which Way But Loose, because earlier today I thought Every Which Way You Can, and then of course I go to play it and I'm like, oh, it's Any. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, and then I thought, oh, well, then I guess it's Any Which Way But Loose, and of course right now you saying that I just browsed over to Wikipedia. I'm like, my God, I'm working out too much. That's not true.
I really think the movie should have been like called just Every Which Way But Loose 2. Like Loose 2 kind of comes off the tongue actually pretty easy.
Even looser.
Yeah, like double loose.
Oh wait, no, I guess
have like like Clyde just hit, like on the front cover just.
I guess it'd be even tighter.
Yeah,
because it's Every Which Way But Loose. But
yeah, but loose.
Anyway, no, I'm not gonna lie, man. I think I like this one a little bit more. Funny enough, because it didn't, when you look at the box office numbers, it didn't do quite as well as the.
It didn't do the gangbusters that other one did. But then they also threw like an extra $10 million into this one's production, because wasn't the last one only $5 million?
It was like $5 million, and it made like 104, if I'm not wrong.
And this one's like, I'm going to say this: 15 mil, and I bet you like that 10 million probably all went to Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, man, because it's like there's nothing really outrageous in this film for another $10 million. It's damn near the same movie. You got a guy who's fighting all the time. Let's start with this. So it takes place 2 years later, as far as we understand. The movie was released 2 years later, but as far as Philo's life at this point, I can only guess it's only 2 years later, but who knows?
Yeah.
And I also want to say, I feel like this is a great example of a movie in the 70s versus a movie in the 80s. Granted, it's released in 1980, and I'm sure the movie was being made probably in 1979.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Though, granted, this movie came out like in December, so it could have been made in 80. And Clint Eastwood mostly shoots movies really fast. He's like kind of, even if he's not directing it, but his type of movies are mostly like it gets done in 1 to 3 takes, and then we're on the golf course by 1.
That makes sense. Yeah, the other movie, the first movie, really, I felt like I was watching a movie in the 70s. I mean, I guess that's a really obvious thing, kind of stupid to say, but considering all the vehicles, considering the personalities, the characters, the apparel, everything, it's like, of course, you're watching a movie from the 70s. You'd have to be an idiot not to know that. But it's not just that. And what I'm saying is that there seems to be different formulas, for like movies that are made back then versus movies that were made 10 years later. You look at movies like the Yakuza, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like even though Every Which Way But Loose was clearly not a noir, it still had some of the same vibes in a sense, some of the same feelings. Things are a little bit more dry, with movies in the 70s. The tone is very, it's just kind of, how do you put it? Deadpan, like, it's like, this is it. You just watch it. Whereas movies, as you go further into the years, you notice it with a lot of action films, like, the Schwarzenegger Commando that we did. You have such an emphasis on the tone, like, I don't think you can ever forget those I forget what kind they are, like steel drums, in the music of Commando.
Like the kind of Caribbean sound and everything.
Yeah. And
I was just going to say this, from the 70s to the 80s, the real big changers is there's about 4 movies that really make a huge difference on changing the tone. So you have those new Hollywood movies, which is like the late 60s to like, mid, somewhat slightly later, like 77, which is what the Yakuza and all that kind of stuff fits into, where like the movies are a little bit more bleak, serious, violent, and so on. But then a couple of movies come out. Jaws becomes the big kind of blockbuster thing. Of course, then you have Rocky, which comes out with almost like a happy ending, where so many movies didn't have a happy ending. And then you have the big one of them all, Star Wars, that just really changes a whole lot of the stuff. And then also the Smokey and the Bandit, because that kind of just introduced like, hey, let's just have a lot of fun with movies. And Every Which Way But Loose is kind of very similar to Smokey and the Bandit, in that kind of tone and style and everything like that. And you can see as you progress, even just like in this 2-year period, that like even by the sequel, Any Which Way You Can, that almost more fun tone is going even farther.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I guess I think part of it too, of why I feel this way about it, is because it is a sequel. So you already have a lot of things that are established that you had to learn in the first movie that you don't in this one. Like, we know who Philo is. We know he's got an orangutan. We know that there's a Flusy that he tried to, date. So his love life is kind of a wash. We know that I'm not gonna lie. I thought Orville was his brother. And
I know, because I was thinking about that when we were talking about last time. Like, are they brothers? Maybe. And then, like, when you're saying, I was like, okay, maybe they are, and so on like that. And then watching this, I'm like, no, I think they just live together.
Yeah, and I pulled up the Wikipedia earlier, and I'm like, best friend. I'm like, okay. And I looked up. I'm like, oh, sure enough, they're not brothers at all.
Well, like, I don't know. They could be cousins. They could be something like that,
But yeah.
But
so
I gotta say this really quickly on Every Which Way before we go any farther.
Yeah.
I was thinking about like in that one, because we were talking about like the new Hollywood and somewhat more like the bleaker endings. If you think about Every Which Way, that one actually does kind of have a little bit more 70s like ending, because the whole thing is Clint Eastwood goes on this whole journey to find this girl, and at the very end he doesn't actually get the girl. It's like one of those ones.
He doesn't even go back home. I mean, he's headed back home, but like, it's just the trip was almost a waste of time. I mean, it is, but it isn't. He gets his resolution. You know what I mean? Like, he gets his closure. Yeah. But it's still like, I think the best thing about that ending is he's on the way back home. He passes the law enforcement who were razzing him. He passes the bikers who were trying to gang up on him, and they're all in the pits. Like, they've been just embarrassed to say the least. And meanwhile, him and Clyde and Orville and
Beverly D Angelo's character, what was her name? Echo. Yeah.
They're just riding home all happy. So in this movie, Echo is not in it. Who knows what happened there? I guess things didn't work out between her and Orville. Ma is
it's like not even brought up at all.
No. Ma's still miserable. And Philo is still fighting, but he does one fight in the beginning of the movie. Once again, out in some dirt field, surrounded by truckers, blue collar workers, and cops,
police officers
that are all betting on him versus this other guy who apparently has beat all kinds of Marines, and that's their selling point of the guy. But then even as the cops say, well, Philo ain't a Marine, Philo says to Orville, who questions him, like, oh, he looks tough, he's beat all the Marines. He's like, yeah, well, I ain't a Marine. And sure enough, as you would expect, he knocks the guy out. He beats him, and they win. Clyde takes a huge dump in a police vehicle. It was just pretty hilarious. And the police
that's
lose
what he does.
Yeah. And so I like how Clyde's still, doing his Clyde things.
Yeah. We have a different orangutan playing him this time, but I think this one does a really good job.
Yeah. But yeah, so
there was a weird controversy thing about the Clyde in this movie I saw on Wikipedia, that like they said that like the trainers like apparently beat the monkey and killed him, like because he stole a donut, but there was no like real record evidence, it seemed like, for it. And then it seemed like all the people that were like on the set were like, the trainers were really nice to Clyde. So it seems like it's like a very mystery kind of like some kind of murder mystery thing of like what happened there to him. But apparently there's Clyde, the guy who plays the orangutan in this one, and then apparently when they did promos, they had to get another orangutan.
Yeah, saying that they sure enough they beat him to death, and
for stealing a donut.
God, and no action.
He steals Oreos in the movie. What do you expected?
Exactly right. No action taken against the trainers, however, because there was no U.S. laws requiring humane treatment of primates at the time. That's so
that 1980s like animal racism.
Jeez, man, that's nuts. And you know what's hilarious too is Clint Eastwood's character Philo is all about the freedom of Clyde and like how he doesn't belong to any man. You know, like it's kind of like Thomas Jefferson. You know, talking about.
Yeah, he really wants to give these apes their freedom and so on like that. As I said, it said that there was a couple other, because it seems like that was sort of a hearsay thing, and then there's a couple other people saying that like, no, I don't think so. They those people really like their monkey, so I don't know. I feel like it's like a gray zone era, like unless you were there, I don't know what to say.
But. Yeah,
but I like the Clyde in this one. I think once again, like I almost might even like him more than the first movie version. Yeah, I like the first movie one too, but like I think this Clyde's almost more dialed into the role.
But yeah, so everyone pretty much is established, and you know who everybody is. I really like the fact that they brought back the biker gang in this one to exact their revenge against Philo for humiliating them. You think they'd give up?
They got nothing better to do.
Couldn't have been like anything easy or cheap for all of them to chase him halfway across the country and get their asses handed to them. And then that's like, are you serious? 2 years later, you're still. But I'll say this too: the bikers, I almost feel like they were a better biker gang in this movie than the first one. They almost seem like competent, like weird rejects in the first one, right? Like,
yeah.
They look like a bunch of dudes who went into like a Hollywood costume closet. You know what I mean?
Well, they feel like if a special ed school decide they're going to become rebels and bikers, like that's really what they come across like.
and this one, they're still stupid, but they're not nearly as like incompetent as they were in the first one. They still have their leader. That guy's still the same.
They got a handful of, I think something like Chola. Yeah, they have him, and they have a handful of the other dudes in there too. They're missing like the Native American looking guy. I don't know if he was Native American, but he kind of looked like that in the first one. And a couple other guys, but they have the dude with the terrible like comb over. He's still there.
I thought it was a different guy. I saw the comb over. I thought it was just a different guy, but Either way, they seem like a more, how do you put it, convincing biker gang in this one. And they try to go after him a couple times in the beginning before he heads out to, well, in the film, later in the film they continue after him. And I love the scene, man. I can't imagine how much it would have cost and how much it would have sucked for them to ride underneath a freaking tar machine on their motorcycles and get totally tarred up. If that was anything other than tar, well, it was really convincing. And,
I thought so too.
They're chasing Philo in his truck, chases him through underneath a big road paver, and it's pouring that fresh hot tar, or it was probably, it doesn't matter.
It's the 80s, so it might have been something like halfway real still. Yeah.
Just after they get through it, they're all like just like frozen in place because that stuff hardened. And oh man, and as a result, they got shaved clean, so they're like completely bald. They're having to go through once again. It was kind of like I was saying, like a costume set, and getting all new wigs, and they look like a bunch of clowns. One guy,
I even like that Clint Eastwood. He puts a goatee on. I love how Clint Eastwood literally, he feels bad for him, so he just loads them all in the back of the truck and drives them to the hospital. And I like when he talks to like the dude there. He's like, they're like, oh, we're gonna have to remove this tar. He's like, well, is it painful? He's like, yeah, real painful. Well, perfect then. And you guys owe me $20 to clean my truck.
Yeah, he's like, you like something like you're what the hell was it? Chola was, razzing him about it, saying like, you owe us big time or you're going to pay for this. And he's like, I already did pay for it. like paid for the damage, paid for your hospital trip and whatever. And as far as I'm concerned, you owe me $40 for, the tar that's on my truck. And it's pretty funny what ends up happening with that. But yeah, so what else is going on in this film? I don't know what it is. It just felt like a really easy plot to follow. Not that the last film wasn't hard to follow at all. It's just, like I said, where you don't need to figure much out about Clint Eastwood in this film. You already know about him. You already know about Philo. And his big thing in that one was trying to win the affection of Lynn, who returns in the very beginning of this film. He goes to the bar again, and who other than Lynn is there singing up on the stage. And he's kind of like, what the hell, And she comes down, which I'd be like, okay, I'm going to another bar. But she comes down and
it's like almost like a Casablanca moment where, like, of all the bars in all the world, how'd you step into mine here?
Yep. And she comes down, talks to him, is basically like, can you forgive me, please? I died. You're great. And he's like, no, like, I don't want to talk to you, and leaves, and gives you the cold shoulder. And then, like, not long after that, he goes and he has a change of heart, and he goes to the YWCA.
well, Clyde has like a moment with her at the bar, and for some reason convinces Clint Eastwood to go talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And
the Young Women's YMCA thing, or YW.
I didn't even know that existed.
I feel like it's one of those ones. As time went on, it just turned to the women's one just disappeared, and they just only have the men one anymore. And now the men one's for everybody.
It's just like the Boy Scouts.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like that. I think if you go to a YMCA, I don't think there's any weird judgment.
It's funny. The Boy Scouts, like 5-8 years ago, something like that. Some little girl took the Boy Scouts of America to court. Her and her mom.
Yeah, let's be honest. It wasn't the little girl and her lawyer.
Dude, took the Boy Scouts of America to court, saying that it was unfair that boys have these opportunities that girls don't. Like becoming an Eagle Scout and this and that, and wins the case and made it so that I think it was 2020 or post 2020, maybe 2019. Anyway, so now, there's girls in the Boy Scouts of America, which
called Scouts of America.
I think it's just called Scouts of America.
They took the boy off because I made the mistake once, because one time they were selling stuff out front. I was like, oh, check it out, Boy Scouts, and then there's a little girl standing there. I was like, I felt kind of bad.
And but here's the thing. There's still Girl Scouts of America, and only girls can be in it. Yeah,
so that's kind of to me. I call that's like reverse sexism. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to sort of say it. Like, if you're going to do it one way, you have to do it the other way. You can't have it. And so if a boy wants to go out and be like, "Yo, I've always dreamed about selling cookies," like, what's wrong with that?
Exactly. But here's I understood what the argument was. It's the fact that becoming an Eagle Scout can get you some pretty serious benefits in life.
Yeah.
And the Girl Scouts apparently didn't have those benefits. Well, then why wouldn't you go to court and have the Girl Scouts be awarded those same benefits at the top tier being a Girl Scout or something like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who knows? But it's because ultimately, it's like now there's two different organizations that'll cater to that, except only girls. But anyway,
so no more being gay with the Boy Scouts anymore. There's girls here, guys.
So the
camp counselor's like, damn it, now I can't strut around nude of all my boys.
Fuck. The VFW that I'm in here in my town, they also use their post as the meeting place for the local Boy Scout chapter, troop, whatever. And the last meeting they were talking about, we got 2 girls that just became Eagle Scouts, and one of the guys was like, well, wait a minute, didn't they just join like however long ago? Like, oh yeah, well, for the girls, since girls are new to it, they took away the time in it's kind of like military, having a time in service or time in grade to get to a certain rank.
They got like the affirmative action type thing.
So now, like, as a boy, you have to be in a certain amount of time before you can progress past a few certain points. But for the females,
you pretty much have to get it to be about 17 years old. Is like, so you pretty much have to spend like from 5 to 17 to get an Eagle Scout. That's pretty much how it works.
So they bypassed a few of these time requirements. Like, no, don't worry about that. You can. So I'm like, this just keeps getting worse.
Yeah, so now they're cheating. I hate to sort of say it, but like, I think it's fine that like if girls want to be scouts and they want to have the mixed match thing. I think really, to me, as a kid, I probably would have liked that more. I felt like when I was a boy, you put me with a bunch of other boys. I'm like, oh, this seems kind of gay. That was like the first thing I would, you know. So if you had kind of a mix there, it would make more sense. But I don't like the idea of like the cheating part or just pushing people ahead or giving them like Game Genie fucking codes so that they can catch up. You know what I mean? Like,
I used to have a Game Genie for my
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Game Boy one,
like because I had an original Game Boy and I had the Game Genie that made it stick out. It was like my Game Boy ended up being like that long. but anyway, so
Scouts of America.
yeah, there we are. I'll get off my soapbox on that one. But Philo, of course, he has a change of heart, and after his persuasion by Clyde, goes and meets back up with what's her name, Lynn, at the YWCA, and basically tells her like, you gotta. I have an extra room. You can come stay in it. She's like, oh, I don't want a handout. And he's like, you're getting a handout right now from the government. Yeah. He's like, this is from a friend. Friends don't give handouts. They just help.
Yeah, give a hand in or whatever. He says
hand in, something like that. And
and of course, all these ladies don't want Clint Eastwood just storming in here like Clint Eastwood does. Yeah.
And so they call the cops, and then the ladies have fun with the cops, kind of mock them and stuff, and give them a kiss, but nothing comes of that. Clyde ends up
pretty much the ladies molest these cops that they called, and this was like the fastest like the cops have probably ever showed up anywhere.
Yeah, no kidding. Like crazy response time.
Those cops are there like by the time Clint Eastwood gets upstairs.
Yep.
But, he walks a flight of stairs and the cops are already there.
I know it. Yeah, she didn't take much convincing either for her. And she goes back home with him. And it's just like that. Like this lady who freaking swindled him and all kinds of other men. I mean, I guess it's too bad for them. They were too stupid. But I mean,
she's all of a sudden back, and for some reason she's had a change of heart and everything like that. It's kind of a weird one. I will say this is the one part of the movie that I get it because it's Clint Eastwood, and this is like her run where him and her were in like 6 or 7 movies together. Like I don't know if they ever got married, but in a sense, it pretty much was like his wife for a bit. So she's in everything that she is. This sounds weird. This is how the movie should have realistically played. Probably is you should have had Beverly D Angelo still in the movie, but not had Sondra Locke in it because I don't think. Character wise, I feel like her arc seems like perfectly fine. That like no, she's that's it. Like it seems weird that like all of a sudden like whatever. I was being an ass. Like what? Take me back, Clint.
Yeah. It's kind of weird, but
it still can work. But it is kind of like the one part that like it makes you feel like it kind of almost in a weird way takes you out of the movie because now you just think of it like, well, I know why she's here because she's dating Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. And aside from that, what else is a pretty big deal going on in the film is, well, they took away the law enforcement that's after Philo. You still got the bikers that are kind of going after Philo, but you need somebody else going after Philo. So we have the mafia. And apparently these particular mafiosos really like fights. They love just things fighting each other. They show this little scene where this guy brings in, I think it's either a ferret or a weasel or something.
Mongoose.
Yeah, it's a mongoose, and to fight against a snake because mongoose is
they fight snakes.
Yeah. Not this poor little mongoose. I was gonna look it up too. I had the idea it was probably real, and they just killed that mongoose.
Well, I don't know how else you shoot that scene and not have it be real.
Yeah, especially in 1980.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like nowadays you'd fake it with CG, but back then it's just like, no, just throw 2 in there.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those ones. If apparently they might have clubbed an ape, they have no problem having a mongoose and a snake fight each other.
Oh, in real life, mongooses possess biological resistance to snake venom and are expert snake killer. The animal fight caused real-world controversy due to the fight scene. The movie was heavily cut for time by the British Board of Film Classification for its UK release.
Of course, the British came in and cut it.
I had the idea there's something about that though, because I remember learning a while back that mongoose like were really resilient to snake bites or something like that. But anyway, they this poor little mafia guy lost his mongoose as far as the film was concerned, and he lost a lot of money. And these other mafia guys, they start talking, and they're like, "Oh, you know what? There's this guy who fights real good named Philo or whatever the hell." And
yeah, he's the best of the West Coast.
Yeah, and they want him to fight. The hell was his name? Jack Wilson, who that guy reminded me of. He kind of reminded me of Burt Reynolds, Smith. And he kind of reminded me of a handful of other dudes, like Tom Selleck a little bit. Just a giant dude. And they want him to fight this Jack Wilson guy. So they start setting it all up without Philo even, like, not even asking him first, you know what I mean? But then they do send a guy down there, a messenger with like 10 grand, and tells him, like, you know, initially Philo's like, "Yeah, I don't do that no more. Sorry." He's like, "Well,
because Philo at the beginning of this movie, after that police fight, he says, "You know what? This can be my last fight. You know, I'm just liking it too much. I'm liking the pain too much."
Yeah, that's right. And that plays a part in where it goes with Jack Wilson. I like how, so Philo, you know, he's a super in shape dude. He's got to be like what, in his mid 40s.
Yeah, Clay's got to be kept pretty old in this one, realistically. You know, probably about 46 or so. Yeah,
and but he's still running every day, like 10 miles or whatever he says. It's just crazy.
Like, 5 miles out, 5 miles back. Like, there's a lot of running scenes in this one, because I kind of forgot about that. Like, when we watched the first one, I remember I'm like, Clint Eastwood has a lot of jogging scenes. He only has like one in that one, but this movie he has a bunch of jogging scenes. I'm like, this is the movie where it was. Yeah, and
so yeah, he agrees. It's 15 grand, you know, hard to say no to that. But then he meets a dude, Jack Wilson, and it's like they are such buddies, you know, like. I don't know, it kind of makes me think of like Hank Hill when he meets the like doppelganger Hank.
Yeah, they got the same truck and everything.
Yeah, and Jack Wilson, of course, he doesn't introduce him right away. Like, "Yeah, I've been hired by the mafia to fight you." He just runs up next to him. He's like, "Hey, you don't mind if I run with you?" He's like, "Hell no," you know. And they run, and the guys like Jack Wilson's like, "Yeah, so." Same thing, like 5 miles this way, you know, 5 miles back. You do this every day? He's like, "Yep." He's like, "I don't know if I can continue." Then he almost falls down a cliff.
Yeah, literally, because they go running by like a construction site.
He tells him, like, "Careful, that soft edge there." And then the dude falls down it. Philo pulls him up and saves his life. And God, that he's hanging on to a braided steel cable, right? All I'm thinking is that would hurt so bad. Because those things aren't smooth and nice, like maybe when they're first manufactured, but
not
one that's been sitting out there in the ground like that and been used a lot, you know, there's all kinds of phrase in that, you know, you go grab onto that and you're like,
yeah, you probably end up letting go accidentally because it probably would get you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so he grabs him and rescues him, and then they go to the bar, and the whole time, like when he first meets him, when he starts running next to him, "You mind if I run with you?" The first thing I thought was, this is the guy they want him to fight.
Yeah. This guy just doesn't randomly show up out of nowhere.
Because I'm thinking he's probably just trying to gauge him, you know, like, see how tough he is, you know, and that's exactly what he's doing. And you learn that
they do a good job of kind of hiding him too, because he's in like this kind of baggy tracksuit and everything like that. So he just it makes it kind of feel like he's just a casual jogger guy that wanted to join in.
Oh sure. And but yeah, so they go to the bar, and Clint Eastwood, Philo's girlfriend Lynn's up there singing again, and this dude just he's like, "Oh yeah, I got somebody who knows how to sing," or something like that. And Jack Wilson's like, "That's not polite, guy." And he gets up and he's like, "Oh yeah," and Philo's like, don't worry about it. But then the guy just gets in his face anyway. And I think he was trying to instigate, to get Philo to fight. And sure enough, it works. Philo starts beating everybody up. And then one guy goes to stab Philo, but Jack Wilson intervenes and mops the floor with him and a few other dudes. And then kind of comes, I don't think he even straight up comes out with it like, yeah, I've been hired to fight you. I think he just, the thing that, at least what I remember, I might have missed it, but he tells him like, you know what? Let's call off this fight. There's no point. And Philo, of course, with that Clint Eastwood humor, he's like, I don't fight for points,
Yeah, exactly.
And he tells him like, oh, well, now we're even, because he saved him from falling down the cliff. And then he saved Philo from getting stabbed and so on and so forth. But he basically tells, he's about to pay for beer or whatever. And he's like, your money's no good here. So, whatever. And he parts ways. And you could tell like they're not going to be enemies. And they're probably going to be buds because they kind of already are. Like,
they like respect each other, almost like Rocky and Apollo kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. There's a bromance going on there.
Yeah, and of course the whole time Orville and Maude don't want Clint to fight at all in this thing. Yeah. They're like, hey, you said you're retired. Like, no more of this. Even though like they've been pretty much living off probably his money.
Oh yeah,
for the last handful of years, and all of a sudden now they're like, you know what?
You don't need to do that.
So Clint tells the mafia guy, he's like, we'll call him back up. I'll give him the $10,000 back. And we'll call this off. And those guys come by, but they're not happy about taking that money back. That's not what they want.
No. And so he calls it off, and the guy comes back. He's like, no, you're gonna fight. Like, there's no giving the money back. And says something clever to Philo, and Philo's like, yeah, well, here it is, and gives it to him. And I love too, and then initially when he accepts the money, he has Clyde come out and get the money, take the money from the guy, and the guy turns around and he's like, "Aah!" Like everyone's always so startled by Clyde. Fair enough, I guess. But so he gives him the money and says like, yeah, I'm not doing it. And the guy's obviously he's not too happy about it, and Clyde just gets up on his car and starts ripping it apart, bashing in the hood, bashing in the windshield, rips the door off, and like rips the wheel well off, like front fender. I mean, and like the car kind of like hobbles out of his driveway.
Well, they have a scene earlier where like because they have some of these Clyde moments that what I do like about this movie is this movie actually adds more elements to like all the characters and stuff like that instead of just playing the same jokes over and over again. Yeah, there's like brand new stuff that happens in this. Like, one joke that they have is like, when Clint Eastwood's driving, like his turn signal must not work anymore. So he'll be like, right turn, Clyde. And Clyde will put his hand out there, which will come back many a times in the movie. But also like there's a scene earlier where like they get a car to like strip it down and they just have Clyde out there just ripping it apart, and chucking the pieces over his shoulder and so on like that. So they pretty much just have him go, Clyde, strip the limo or whatever that was, or the Cadillac.
I forgot. I didn't even think about that, but yeah. I like how they use Clyde. They use Clyde quite a bit, actually, more in this movie than they did the last one.
Yeah, I feel like they give him more stuff to do instead of him kind of being stuck in the back of the camper for a good portion.
I like how. So basically, of course, the mafia is not too happy about him saying I ain't fighting. So what do? They kidnap Lynn, and basically. What I didn't quite understand was they kidnap Lynn, destroy Clyde's truck, and like leave him there, almost like leaving him for dead. You know what I mean? Clyde saves his life. It's like, why kidnap the person's girlfriend to get him to come fight, but then almost kill him? Like,
yeah, because the truck was literally going to blow up on him if Clyde just didn't happen to be there. Because Clyde was out. I think they took Clyde to go bang another orangutan at the zoo. Which also I gotta say this: there's a part where pretty much, Clint Eastwood takes Clyde to go get laid again at the zoo at Bakersfield this time, and he does the thing where like he pretty much is like, okay, you're gonna go in there and you're pretty much gonna date rape her. Like, here's a banana and I'm gonna inject something into it. And they play it for jokes because instead Clyde eats the banana and he passes out or whatnot like that. But like, and then I like how Clint Eastwood goes back in there with another date rape banana. And then like, he's like, oh, I'm just going to chuck it down there. And like, whoever one, picks it up, that's who Clyde gets.
And this one, I think, wasn't it the ape? Wasn't it owned by like some drug addict or something? Or maybe he was saying that because he just injected the drugs into the ape.
There is a point where somebody makes a comment. I think it's used as like a joke that like don't give that to Clyde. He's a real addict or whatever. Well, he was drinking alcohol the whole time. He's always drinking a beer or Jack Daniels or something.
He gets Clyde a pal again, and the pal sticks around for a little bit. There's literally a hotel. I guess it comes before this. There's like a hotel scene where it's like Sondra Locke and Clint Eastwood like love scene, but then there's the Clyde, the other orangutan,
and then there's this other random couple that just like this old middle-aged couple that like
old fat couple, and they're pissed at first because
they hear all this banging next door.
And of course, they don't know if it's ape. Oh, and then the person I love the person that owns the motel, nasty, gross, freaking guy.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite understand that. I guess he really believed the disguise that they put on Clyde, right? Made him look like an old lady, and bring the orangutan and bring him into the motel room, and the guy looks out there, says, "Say, is your aunt related by blood or marriage?" And Philo's like, "By blood." And he's like, "Careful about having kids." And he's like, "I always am." Like, nasty guy, man. What the hell? And sure enough, though, it's freaking hilarious. So in the middle of the night or whatever, like the night after Clyde and the orangutan are banging. Actually, no, that was after she got kidnapped, I think.
No, I think she got kidnapped right after this scene. Because I want to say this leads to all that stuff, because there's a part where Orville pretty much has to, or where the mob races to try to save Clint Eastwood because the mobsters come to the house and kind of harass her. And then for some reason, Orville has to go down there too, and he gets the cops to pretty much show up to the hotel, but he gets kind of arrested in the process.
That's right. Yeah, and Clyde's out there in the middle of the night in a dress, and the motel owner opens up, says something lewd, and then flashes Clyde. And
he just goes there and flashes him.
Like, this orangutan's probably just like, okay, like,
yeah.
And the guy like freaks out, goes back inside. No, and of course kicks Philo out the next day. Like, you gotta get out of here. Like, what the hell? And he's like making some claim like he's bothering people and peeking in on girls and stuff. And I like how he just outright says to him, like, what were you gonna do? Like, fool around with a couple of orangutans, you weirdo? And but no, that was pretty dang hilarious. And then the older couple too. Initially the old lady's like just pissed, like, we're getting out of here. These are animals in there, which is funny because they actually are. And and the guy's just like gets super inspired. He's hearing all the banging and looks at his wife shaking her butt, and it makes it look, they flash to a scene of like some hula dancer or something shaking her butt. And
and then they cut. Is this the part where they cut Bo Derek running on the beach? Yeah.
No. What I saw was, maybe there was another scene, but I don't think I saw.
No, maybe that was a different part, because unless I'm getting that confused with another movie I was watching recently. I could have swore it was in this movie, because it shows Bo Derek, do that famous beach run where she's got like the cornrows and everything like that.
No, I think what you're thinking of is I don't know, but in this one, at least what I watched, was he's looking at her butt, the fat old lady, as she's packing her suitcase, and then it flashes to a scene of, like, it's what he's imagining of a young woman who's clearly in shape, who's shaking her butt like as if she's a hula dancer or something.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to the wife, but he gets all inspired and goes and picks up a chair like he's going to break it, but then he throws his back out. And She's like, oh, that was real brave. That's a heavy chair. Like, wow, you know. And they end up screwing anyway and having actually a great night. And then the cops show up because Orville was headed out there. I guess Ma showed up. Or maybe she didn't.
Yeah, because Ma shows up and then or maybe that's a different scene, but she finds love as well. There's like it's like a moment where just everybody finds love because she finds it with like some other old guy. I feel like it's a different hotel though, because I don't remember. It's not the same pervy hotel guy. It's like she meets a guy there, and for some reason, she kicks him in the balls at first, literally, but after the guy gives her a compliment.
Yeah. But they, the cops and somebody else, it might have been Orville, run into that old couple's car. The guy looks at it, he's like, our car's destroyed. And she's like, we'll get another car. Come back to bed. But yeah, so then what's her name? Len gets kidnapped by the mafia. That's when they, destroy his truck and leave him for dead, and Clyde saves him. Yeah. And then gosh.
Well, I think this is also when once he talks to Jack again, is because this is, I think, what makes them want to call the fight off, is when he tells Jack that, the guys you work for, they've captured my girlfriend or whatever and hold her hostage.
Yeah,
like,
he goes out to Wyoming.
No way. He's like, if that's the case, then I'm not fighting either. Like, yeah, and then they have this town out in Wyoming where like every rich person's showing up.
Why that? Like,
yeah, like what's this mobster connection to this town out here? And everybody's showing up.
Well, I mean, it's like, what's the need? Like, why go out there? That's what I'm saying. Like, in some ways, this movie is almost a carbon copy of the other one. Like, taking this drive across country to go after this girl. Oh, he's doing it again. Different reasons, but pretty odd. But yeah, he goes out there, and once again, this is about the time where the bikers they freshly shaven and smooth bodied. They get all their wigs on and stuff. The guy Sharpies on, a mustache and goatee, and they head out there. And then they get pulled over by some cops in Wyoming. Some, I don't know if they were just sheriffs or troopers or who knows.
State trooper.
But love it, dude. They immediately get out and they start laughing at him. And Chola's like, "Shut up, give you some tickets." And he's like, "Yeah, nah, you guys are in enough. You got enough problems as it is." And they just think it's hilarious, which it is.
Yeah,
they look funny. So. They have to be wearing bald caps.
Yeah, because like just the way it is. And I think a lot of makeup to cover their eyebrows. And
there's so much makeup on Chola for sure.
Yeah,
freaking hilarious. And he's like, we are lawbreakers. You need to give us tickets. Like, we earned those. And then they had, and I was wondering too, I'm like, how'd they find out about this fight? Like, what the hell is going on here? How will they find out about this big gathering of different mafia members that are going out there to bet on this fight between Philo and Jack? And but it don't matter. They found out somehow. And head out there. Yeah, he meets up with Jack. He's on again another run. I love how he goes out. He tells him, he's like, yeah, you got some weird friends. Some weird, you work for some weird people or whatever he says. And he's like, oh, their business is their own, whatever. I'm just here to fight. And, but then he learns about it after Philo tells him like they stole his girlfriend, and he's got like, once again, the kind of an honor amongst thieves type of deal. He's like, yeah, no, that's not cool. So he helps him get his girlfriend back. And what's his name? Orville was there with him. Big fight scene. A couple of the mafia guys pull out guns. Shoot Orville in the arm. Protected Philo, and he's all right. He didn't die or nothing. And they get her back. They get Lynn back, and Jack tells him like, just get out of there. And
fights off and get out of here. That's it.
They call off the fight, but then they tell each other like, you know what, like, we can't just be even all the time. I can't save you, you save me. Like, we gotta really see who's the boss here. So they it
reminds me of Rocky 3, I think, is like at the very end of that one where like Rocky and Apollo are like, let's go for that third match and see who kind of it does win. Of course, it cuts the credits.
Yes.
And then, of course, it continues in Rocky 4. But that's what it reminds me of. But instead of cutting the credits, no, you're getting a big old slobber knocker for like the next like 10 minutes.
Because him and Apollo fought again in the second film.
Yes, and Rocky wins in the second one.
Yeah.
So it's almost like Apollo wins the first movie, Rocky wins the second movie. So at the end of the third one, they're like, we gotta even the odds here. And I don't think they never show who actually wins that third fight. And then Apollo dies, so that nobody will know it. And Rocky's gonna go down in the grave with like whatever the answer that was. Only Paulie might know, but Paulie died, so that's it.
But yeah, so they set up the fight in secret, and of course these stupid kids are outside the barn looking in there, and they attract a cop. The cop shows up, radios about it, and then the
cop gets ready. It's not like the one where the cop is like, "Hey, what are you kids doing?" And he like runs up there and stuff like that. And it's not like, "Oh, there's an illegal fight going on there." The cops like,
I know, right? They're just looking at the
fight. Like, yeah, like wait a second, the fight's back on. So they kind of put it out on the wire, and then like everybody turns around and comes back to town, and
just outrageous fight. Like, I love how it's like something you'd see in a cartoon, right? Like in SpongeBob, this big mass of people in a big circle that like moves like this throughout the city because Philo and Jack Wilson are slugging it out like everywhere in any which way they can.
Yeah, exactly. And Jack, once he takes off his jacket, you see that he is a pretty jacked guy. Yeah,
It's not like Clint Eastwood was a small guy, but that Jack Wilson guy was massive.
Yeah,
and I was kind of thinking like, I don't know if he's going to win this one, but well, we know what happens. At first I was kind of like, I wasn't expecting it for everyone to find out about the fight again. I kind of thought it was going to be a fight in secret. And I thought it was kind of lame though at first, because I'm like, why don't they just film it normal? Like, what are they like? It's all like shrouded between walls and stuff, and behind me like windows, and this kind of sucks. Well, then
they break out. It makes sense because it's like almost like you kind of have this kind of shitty view, like almost like you're the kids on the outside, and then they bust through the wall, and then it's okay, here he goes. Yeah,
and sure enough, they after busting out, then it's like turns into a real brawl. They're just beating the crap out of each other, of course, and they bust into another bar or restaurant, whatever it is. They go all over the place, into the kitchen of another place, I think.
They go all over the place. It might have been that because I remember when they go through that window, like into the bar, like, dude, there's that lady sitting there, and dude, when that glass just explodes like right in there, dude, that lady you just see just takes a whole face full of that.
I know. They take a break for a minute, which was pretty cool, and that's where I actually thought that was where Jack Wilson was like going to be done. Mm-hmm. Clint Eastwood goes to throw a punch, and Jack Wilson kind of like puts his arms in, and kind of like just like puts his arms down, and they talk. He's like, "Yeah, how about like, what do you think? What do you think? We call it even? Like we throw like talking. I think one was talking about throwing or something, and he's like, you think they'd buy it? And he's like, nah. Like they both take a couple sips of beer and then just start going at it again. I noticed both in the first movie and in this one as well. They're always drinking Olympia.
Yeah, there's a lot of Olympia beers in this one.
Like, I very rarely see that. I'm like, I might go try to find one. I don't know.
I was gonna say, can you find Olympia beers? Because I know in California, I don't think I've ever ran across them.
I had Olympia once in California.
Okay,
it's pretty few and far between though these days. I think out here, I think I've had it once, but it's not one you see very often anymore.
No, it used to be a popular one because apparently that's also like where the Mr. Olympia came from. Is that Joe Weider just saw like a beer sitting there during a meeting, and he's all like, "We'll call it Mr. Olympia."
That's funny. But yeah, and they keep on going and freaking busting into this kitchen. Philo has his arm on a stove, and Jack like breaks his arm, and I thought for a minute, I'm like, that's kind of cheap. Like kicking the guy's arm against a freaking stovetop, man. What the heck?
Yeah, and it made it feel like that Jack was trying to be like, okay, the fight's over. Like, this is the only way going to stop him. And I think that's how he kind of, he's like, I'm going to break his arm. I'm going to call it good. We can end it right here and so on. But Clint, that's not it.
Heck no, he gets right back up. He's like, the fight's over. That's it. He goes, no, it ain't. And he gets up and just beats him one-handed. Like they fight and get back outside. They're out there. He's slugging it out again. And finally he knocks out Jack and he's out for like, I don't know, 8 seconds or something. Clint Eastwood, I thought it was going to do one of those things where they both get knocked out.
Yeah, if it had that kind of feel.
But Clint Eastwood's kind of like kneeling down and standing up and getting back down and goes over to Jack, and Jack wakes up. He's like, was I out? He's like, yeah. He's like, how long? He's like, long enough. And he's just like, all right, I guess that's it. He's had to be that Mark Calloway moment. Come on, Mick, let's just go home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then of course the people that had bet on the right person were happy. One thing that happened too was a little earlier on in their fight. Was a couple of the mafiosos were trying to fix the fight. They were trying to get Philo, which I don't know how this would have worked out for them anyway, because it would have been so obvious. They tried to get some other mafia guys to apparently shoot Philo, because the guys are up there on a balcony, loading up a revolver. And it's like, everyone is watching. If this guy shoots him, what do you think? They'd be like, how was that?
Yeah, that's going to mute all bets.
A Knight's Tale, where the guy puts the freaking the spear inside of the club thing on the end of the javelin, right? Or like in Gladiator, when the guy stabs him first before the fight. People don't know.
Yeah, I can't see it. You're looking at it from a distance. It's like having the nosebleed seats at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
trying to make heads or tail what's going on down there.
Man, I've been watching so many videos of the WWE Vault on YouTube. So
that's the best. That's the best channel, because that's all the old stuff.
I was gonna say, there's the WWE channel, and then there's WWE Vault. WWE channel sucks because they cut so much stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of violence, or I don't know, which is kind of silly inherently. It's a freaking wrestling. But because I noticed, I'm like, is my TV glitching or something? Nope. They just cut every single time a chair hits a head. They cut every single time somebody was thrown up against, into the chain wall, the chain link fence wall, and then the doors getting smashed on their head. They cut it. I'm like,
it's so stupid.
But WWE Vault, oh man, everything's there. But,
and they keep it pretty, I think, generally pretty much uncut, uncensored, all that, just the way it used to be.
As far as I can tell, it's all uncensored.
Yeah,
but
I've never seen anything on there, does it? Well, I think they got kind of savvy about that by they can do different channels and just kind of have it that way, and that's where they release all their old stuff.
I was thinking to myself, man, that would have been awesome to be there, during the Attitude Era, and ringside, you know what I mean, behind that first barrier. But then I thought, I bet they can hear all the things they're saying to each other. Hey, just roll with this punch. Hey, I want you to do this. And I'd be like, man, that might ruin the experience for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think they say it pretty quiet, and there's so much other noise going on too. But you would hear it, and you would kind of see that a little bit. It would break the illusion a little bit.
It kind of would, but anyway, yeah. So those mafia guys are trying to get Philo to lose, and the bikers show up. The Black Widows, they show up, and they see that. They're like, hey, they're trying to get Philo to lose, and what's his name? God, I forgot his stupid name. Chola, pulls his guys, does a hurdle with his motorcycle buddies, and he's like, we got to go up there and stop them from getting Philo. And they're like, we've been trying to kill this guy for 2 years. What are you talking about? And he's like, well, here's the thing. I bet all of our motorcycles, sold all our motorcycles and bet on this for those, for him to win. And they're like, what? He's like, hey, it's business. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, they got to go with it real quick.
And that was a pretty hilarious fight scene. They go up there, beat up the mafia guys. Chola takes his weird, stupid whip that he has and puts it underneath this guy's butt crack and makes some silly sound and falls down the stairs.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that slapsticky moments here.
It's almost like I don't know why it reminded me, but like Benny Hill or something like.
Yeah.
So silly. But yeah, and from then on, like we already established, the fight goes on and on and on, and they win. One thing we need to talk about that was pretty hilarious was before the fight and before he meets up with Jack again, he knows that he's out in Wyoming for a reason. He's out there because they kidnapped his girlfriend. They won the fight. So he's like, okay, I got to do this. And so he's training. Their rules were, like no drinking, no partying, no anything. You run, you eat, take care of yourself before this fight, and that's that. Yeah. And so he's out jogging and he sees a stretch limo. So he goes up to it and breaks what's hilarious is, I don't know if this was like an error on the person that was inside the car, like while they were filming it, but he sees the limo, he runs up to it, tries to open the door, but it's locked. So he pulls his hand away. The guy opens the door and Philo still like busts through the window. I'm like, did he like just want to do that or?
Well, then the thing too is that Philo thinks that there's all these mafia guys out to get him, and these are just other rich people that are betting on the fight. So he's getting like almost scared every single time some car pulls up behind him and whatnot. He goes aggressive. Yeah. So I think the guy was just meaning to like, oh, I'm just gonna come talk to this guy, and then he breaks the window.
The door was already open.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah,
that's why I was like, I wondered if that was an error, like that the actor inside the car made, like, or maybe Clint Eastwood, like. Just not thinking about it, right? Like, oh, they won't open the door, I'm gonna bust it open. But then like after he tries to open the door and it fails, the guy opens the door itself, and then he just still busts the window.
Yeah, if there's that one, it's like we only got one window of the bus, so we're going with the scene.
Does the same thing with another limo, but it's the two old ladies that are betting on him.
Oh yeah,
and that was pretty hilarious too. They're telling him like, oh, you look too good. You look too good. You're gonna get beat up or whatever the hell. Gosh, I think there was one more.
Well, there was the strip party, the strip poker party that was like the other one where there's a bunch of people playing strip poker, and they they literally come driving in like on their like Concorde jet type thing.
Yeah,
not flying in. They literally drive the plane there.
Well, initially to get to the area, they're flying the jet and they're flying upside down.
Oh yeah,
it's just a silly ass scene. Because they're always stripping. They're always stripping, playing poker, stripping.
Yeah. They're like, hey, you ever drink champagne upside down?
You'd be surprised what you can do upside down. Just ridiculous. And then, to when the fight gets, when they all find out that the fight's actually happening, they're going down the street in this jet. Just ridiculous, hilarious. But and then everybody kind of is all happy at the end, like with their winnings, of course, except for the guys that didn't win anything. And of course, those mafia guys pay what they owed their boss or whatever. And he's like, yeah, he paid, 30 cents on the dollar for what he owes us or something like that. And, he asked that he'd promise that we're not going to kill him. And he's like, okay, yeah. He's like, did you promise? He's like, yeah. He's like, good. All right, now go kill him. And it's like, what would you think, they were going to say? But of course, that's the reason why it's a kind of a comedy as opposed to, the movie Casino.
Yeah, where it gets real serious, and some hands are going to get broken here.
And that's where, what's their names? The bikers, those two mafia guys who are, they're about to get chased and killed. They see those guys coming down the hall, so they book it out their window, and they're trying to get away. But then bikers show up. They're like, "Hey, you owe us because we bet and we won." And they try to, get out of there, but they see the other mafia guys coming after them, so they leave, and the bikers steal their briefcase from them, and they also got their car. So they're like, "Hey, life is good."
Yeah,
they actually went out.
Car. Yeah,
and then they meet up with Philo at the end of the movie, and they're just kind of like, pals now.
Yeah, no hard feelings. You made us rich, Philo.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess that was about it though.
Yeah, I guess the last part is when they drive back to California or whatnot, and on their way there, out in the desert, they run across a highway patrol guy.
Oh, that's
and this
right.
guy's so pissed because of the fight at the very beginning of the movie and how they literally lost everything on that.
They
and now
lost
they're stuck.
the cops lost their boss's money.
Yeah, and now they have to work out in the desert, for the next year or whatever. And this guy's gonna do everything to him to make it live in hell. And of course, they do the thing where, right turn, Clyde, and then Clyde just punches that cop right in the face.
It's hilarious.
And if it's in like a primate like hitting a cop, there's no legalities there.
Yeah,
Is what we learned
exactly,
from the 80s.
Yeah, no, it was I don't know. Any Which Way was kind of an easier watch to me than Every Which Way. Like I said, I think it's kind of like I said, a lot's already established. So if you like the first film, chances are you'd be interested and into the second. And I guess if you really wanted to nitpick, I guess you could say the plot on the first one was slightly weaker than the second. Because he's just going out to Colorado to go find the girl that he wanted to be his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And that's really about it. You don't.
I think
get
that one
much
just has that good twist though, for the fact that he doesn't get the girl in the end.
Oh,
And it's
sure.
like, oh yeah. So he goes through all that. I think that's what makes that one kind of stand out pretty well. But
It's kind of one of those like moral of the story type of endings,
yeah, it still all works out, but it's not like the working out the way you thought it was going to be. It just happened to be you just went on a fun trip with your buddies.
I almost feel like Any Which Way, it almost borderlines on like National Lampoon style of plot and humor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like if a National Lampoon's film was serious, it would still be a comedy, but it would be this.
Yeah, a little country western theme over the top.
Yeah, it's kind of funny too to see to still see like Bakersfield and the other area that Philo lives in that's still not super urban.
Yeah, well, it's funny too because Bakersfield back in the day was like the country capital of California, like 'cause that's where Merle Haggard and all those guys are from. So like it has a lot of history there for it, nowadays, who knows, but at one point in time,
it's pretty, I don't know how else to say it. It's very developed,
Yeah, it's very like a valley town, yeah.
My sister lived out there for like, I don't know, 8 years or something. And maybe a little less, but it's like any other suburban kind of place with, of course, a large downtown. But yeah, I mean, I like it. Kind of gave me the same vibe a little bit as the ones we did a little while back, the American Graffiti and More American Graffiti.
Yeah, it kind of has. Especially there's that cool scene in the movie where they go through like the big arch sign of Bakersfield, which always kind of reminds me. Modesto has one like that as well too. Speaking of American Graffiti, but those kind of old timey like signs and so on there, and just seeing there's a lot of cool stuff of just seeing like background scenes and so on like this of like looking at those towns, and how like good luck finding anything that looks like that nowadays there.
Yeah. But
I'm kind of curious what part of Los Angeles County or whatever that Clint Eastwood lives in this movie. I'm still assuming it's probably on somewhat more of the outskirts area, but outskirts back in the late 70s would be much different than the outskirts nowadays.
Just says San Fernando Valley, specifically the Sun Valley area.
Sun Valley area. Interesting. I wonder where that's at.
Peoria Street in Sun Valley, California.
Does it have a specific street?
Has a specific address.
Oh,
11845 Peoria Street, Sun Valley, California.
1185.
The Palomino Club, 6907 Lancashire Boulevard, North Hollywood, California. Here's what's funny. Orville's mother's house is in a different place.
Yeah, but that makes
that's odd.
That's always kind of how those things are.
Different town.
Yeah, just completely out of that.
That was in Burbank.
Yeah, so Sun Valley, interesting. So Sun Valley is above Burbank and so on like that. Huh. Yeah, I guess that is too. You're starting right to get into the hills and everything like that there.
Interesting. You'd probably buy it on, probably find it for sale for about, I don't know, $1 million.
Yeah, for old beater 40s house.
It's kind of funny. If you pull up the address on the map, it doesn't look like an amazing area. The interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, but that'd be one of those ones like you just do a little drive by when you're down like that area just to go see the house.
Take a picture and then people start coming out of the houses and shooting you.
Yeah, you don't know who's living there now. That's gotta be the thing though, is like when you buy a house that like was in a movie, you know that's gonna happen all the time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially the more famous the movie is. Like, I always think like the Mrs. Doubtfire house in San Francisco,
Or like we were talking about before, the house that John Matrix lives in Commando.
Oh yeah. In Commando, how we found that one out there too as well. That one's like, at least it's not right on the road. Like there is like you do have a bit of a driveway to get to that one. Just
imagine like getting on a dual sport or something and like driving up to the house and somebody's like, "Who the hell are you?" Like, "I'm a big fan, sir."
Like, yeah, like
what?
I hate to sort of say, I feel like that kind of comes with the property. You know what I mean? Like that's almost needs to be in the contract. Be like, here's the thing, you might not want it, but people are going to show up here randomly. That's it. You have a famous house.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, good couple of films. I think it's probably a good idea. They ended it at 2.
Yeah, like the perfect amount. Like any more might be too much, but like I think both of these ones back to back though, like I really enjoy them quite a bit. Like it's not like I don't necessarily think one's too much stronger than the other. Yeah, I think it's like a personal preference which one you might like more, but like I still thought like the second one still holds up pretty solid to the first one.
Yeah, I think so too. Rethinking about it, like thinking about some of the wackiness of the first one too, like beating all the bikers up, 2/3 of the way into the movie.
Swinging like Tarzan down on the police officer.
Yeah. I guess they're about as wacky as each other, and that's something I can really appreciate. They're products of their time, that's for sure. You still have the honor amongst men kind of thing going on, it didn't matter that Philo and this other dude are beating the snot out of each other, bare knuckle boxing and out in the dirt field. The cops are there too, but they're not there to arrest anybody. They're like, yeah, this is great. Like we want to bet on this too. You know what I mean? It's like, it didn't matter if you were a cop. It didn't matter if you were a truck driver or a freaking truck driver or fireman or whatever, a tradesman. Like you're all out there going, this is something I feel like it's worth watching, And then you go home at the end, they go to the bar at the end of the day, have a beer with all those same guys. Like,
a lot of camaraderie.
Yeah. A lot of camaraderie. Yeah. And I don't feel like you really see a lot of that anymore.
That's definitely something missing. I think a lot of times there's so many groups of like things that have been split off into different niches and so on that you just don't have that same thing.
No. And these are definitely like Clint Eastwood's done so many films that he's been in, so many films that he's directed, so many films that he was both actor and director that I think some of them start to blend after a while. And these are two that, if you were to watch a lot of Eastwood films over like one after another, I think these two would stick out amongst the crowd. Others, of course, also would, obviously, like the Dirty Harry films, his Westerns, and Gran Torino, of course, it's a gem. These two, I think if you're a big Clint Eastwood fan, you got to add these to your collection to either watch or own.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree there too. And I think these are one of those Clint Eastwood ones that actually stand out quite a bit, like in a sense, like they're definitely in like the roster of like, if you were going to throw on 10 Clint Eastwood movies for a marathon or whatnot, I think you would definitely at least throw one of them in there. You know, and the nice thing too is you can go watch this one on YouTube. They just have this one up on there now, which I've been noticing that YouTube's been going kind of to town, making their video collection much more robust. Yeah, and it's not as bad. There was a time period where like they used to edit their movies. I think because
they
just
trying to get people to start paying for it.
Well, yeah, but I remember like I paid for it, and I remember I went to watch. I think it was Boulder Ram with Kevin Costner. And I got about like half an hour in the movie, and I was like, dude, something just feels off on this movie. Like, I'm like, it's been a long time since I've seen this movie, but I'm like, I remember there being some other lines here. And then lo and behold, I looked and I was like, oh, there's a whole 20 minutes cut out of it. So they pretty much put like the TBS version up on there. True. So you got none of the swearing, none of that stuff. And that's the only movie that but it made me kind of scared for a while because I was like, and these are like the YouTube movies, not like some random person uploaded it.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah.
You know, so I got kind of iffy about some of these YouTube movies for a while there, but I think that kind of went away because all the ones I've watched, you know, in the last, you know, handful of years have been fine. Yeah. You know, but I don't know if they just for a moment there, they thought maybe we should just do the TBS thing with our stuff because in a sense, anybody can kind of watch it, I guess you could kind of say. But, you know, I think they figured that one out that, you know, that there's a way to skate by that. And so granted, these Clint Eastwood movies are only PG movies, but you can still edit down a PG movie. So that's always one of those ones that like that happens. Look what they did to Crocodile Dundee on that Blu-ray release. They edited that one down. You know, the version we didn't watch, I don't think anybody watches, but
yeah, exactly.
You know, so they can edit those movies where you don't think that like anyone would edit it, and then somebody comes in and does it. But no, you know, check this one out. You can watch it on YouTube. For some reason, I don't think the first one's on YouTube though. But that's the weird thing.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
But yeah, you got the second one on there. But yeah, good old Clint Eastwood, fun times, orangutan party. Like, what's not to like about these ones? But beyond all that good stuff, you can always check out more Old Man Orange podcasts, movie reviews, and all that fun stuff on YouTube and Spotify. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Dave Candido.
And we'll see you some other time.